Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive on something I think we've all thought about at one point or another, becoming a millionaire. We're going to be looking at a recent interview that Dave Ramsey did with Jay Shetty.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of us think that becoming a millionaire is this like far off dream,
Yeah.
like it's only for certain people, certain professions or people who just got really lucky and like inherited a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But Dave Ramsey's research actually like challenges that in some pretty surprising ways.
Totally. And you know what I found so interesting about this interview is that it really kind of gets into the nitty-gritty of how, like, everyday people can build wealth. It's not about hitting the jackpot.
Right.
It's more about just creating a solid foundation. So for all of you listening out there, get ready to like uncover some real actionable strategies for building long-term wealth.
Yeah, and I think one of the most like striking things that Ramsey says right off the bat is that 79% of American millionaires inherited absolutely nothing.
Wow.
That's huge. It completely debunks this myth that like wealth is primarily passed down through generations.
It's almost like saying, look, the playing field is actually a lot more level than you think. And it really drives home the point that like building wealth is achievable for anyone
Absolutely.
who's willing to put in the work.
Yeah, and it gets even more interesting when you look at the profiles of these millionaires.
Okay.
It's not all CEOs and entrepreneurs. Ramsey found that a lot of them are like everyday people with jobs, like teachers or engineers or accountants.
Oh, wow. So like regular people.
Regular people, yeah.
So then like what are they doing that sets them apart?
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce?
And thankfully, Ramsey digs into that as well.
Okay.
He highlights two main strategies that were really common among the millionaires that he studied.
All right, let's hear it.
The first one is consistently contributing to their 401ks and their Roth IRAs. They're investing in good mutual funds.
Yeah.
And they're doing it steadily over a long period of time, like 12 to 17 years. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with like 401ks and Roth IRAs, these are retirement savings plans that offer some really great tax advantages. So a 401k is usually offered through your employer, and a lot of times will come with a matching contribution.
Oh, yeah.
Which is basically free money.
Free money, can't beat that.
And then a Roth IRA is something you set up individually. And while you don't get like the upfront tax break, your money grows tax-free.
Right.
And then you don't pay taxes when you withdraw it in retirement.
So essentially, by doing this regularly over time, they're really letting that power of compound interest work its magic.
Exactly. It's like that snowball effect. The longer you let it roll, the bigger it gets.
I like that.
And that brings us to their second strategy, paying off their homes on average in about 10 years.
10 years. Oh, wow. Ramsey tells this funny anecdote about how nobody throws you a parade when you pay off your mortgage. But the sense of freedom and the long-term financial benefits are incredible.
It's so true. And, these strategies might not sound as exciting as like striking it rich on a game show or something, but they highlight something really crucial: the power of process and long-term thinking.
It's all about playing the long game, like the tortoise, not the hare.
Exactly.
And speaking of patience, Ramsey makes this really insightful point that personal finance isn't just about like knowing the numbers.
Right.
It's much more about behavior and mindset.
He breaks it down like this. Personal finance is 80% behavior.
Wow.
And only 20% head knowledge.
That's really interesting.
And this really resonated with me because in today's world, it's all about instant gratification and quick fixes.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of discipline and emotional maturity to like stay focused on those long-term goals.
Oh, absolutely, because we're constantly bombarded with messages that say, buy now, pay later, or get rich quick.
Get rich quick. Yeah.
And it takes real maturity to say like, no, I'm going to delay that gratification. I'm going to make sacrifices now so that I can build a more secure future for myself.
A fulfilling future.
Yeah, exactly. And it reminds me of something else that Ramsey said. He said, winning doesn't heal you. Becoming wealthy doesn't heal you. It makes you more of what you already are. And that leads to this really interesting idea of money as a magnifier.
Yeah, that's a really powerful concept. It basically means that money doesn't inherently change you into a good or bad person. It just amplifies what's already there.
Interesting.
So if you're generous, wealth might give you the opportunity to be even more generous. But if you're greedy, Well, that greed might just get magnified, too.
Mm.
It goes beyond just personal traits, too, you know?
Okay.
Like, if you're someone who is always striving to learn and grow, having more resources might allow you to invest even more in your own personal development. But if you're someone who tends to shy away from challenges, wealth could make you more complacent.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's like money is this neutral force, and it's up to us to decide how we're going to use it.
Right.
And it kind of ties back into what we were saying earlier about, like building that emotional maturity and developing the right mindset.
Yeah.
Because if money is this magnifier, it just makes sense to focus on cultivating those positive qualities that we want to see more of in our lives.
Absolutely. And one of those qualities that Ramsey emphasizes is generosity.
Okay.
And you might think, well, if someone's already a millionaire, wouldn't they be more likely to hold on to their wealth?
Right, yeah.
But his research actually found that consistent giving was a common trait.
Oh, wow.
Among the millionaires he studied.
That was surprising to me, too. It's like the opposite of what we see in movies and TV shows.
Totally.
Where wealthy people are always greedy.
Right. It challenges that stereotype.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense if you think about it from a psychological perspective.
Mm.
When you're regularly giving to causes that you believe in, it cultivates this sense of gratitude and contentment.
It shifts your focus from always wanting more to appreciating what you have, which is so powerful, especially in a culture that's constantly pushing us to get more stuff.
It's like the antidote to that, keeping up with the Joneses mentality.
Totally, yeah.
And it brings us to another interesting point that Ramsey touches on, which is the challenges of raising kids in a wealthy environment.
Yeah.
I think a lot of parents worried that their kids will be spoiled or entitled.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's something I've definitely thought about.
Yeah, and Ramsey has this really interesting perspective on this.
Okay.
He talks about teaching your kids about money from a young age. But it's not just teaching them, how to balance a checkbook or invest in the stock market. It's about instilling the right values and behaviors.
The fundamentals.
He's got this great anecdote about how he used to pay his young children for helping him clean their room, even though he was the one doing most of the work.
I love that.
But it was all about establishing that connection between work and reward early on. Creating that understanding that money is earned, not just given.
And it makes me think about how important it is for us to model those behaviors ourselves.
Absolutely.
Our kids are always watching us. They're learning from how we handle money, how we talk about it, and how we use it.
Exactly. It's not just what we tell them, it's what we show them.
Yeah, for sure.
And building on this whole raising money smart kids thing,
yeah,
Ramsey talks about the importance of teaching them age-appropriate financial skills.
Okay.
He breaks it down into 4 key areas.
Yeah.
Working, giving, saving, and spending.
So it's giving them this well-rounded financial education. Equipping them with the tools they need to make responsible choices. With money, no matter what their financial situation is in the future.
And this brings us to a really important point that Ramsey makes that I think often gets overlooked in conversations about wealth.
Okay.
He challenges this misconception that wealthy people are inherently evil.
Yeah, there's this automatic assumption that if someone is wealthy, they must have gotten there by exploiting others or doing something shady.
Right. And Ramsey really pushes back on that.
Good.
He says something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he's equal is not fair.
Huh.
And he uses this really simple but powerful analogy to illustrate this point.
Okay.
He says, imagine 2 paper boys, right?
Okay.
One is diligently delivering the newspaper to every house on his route, while the other one's just throwing the papers away. Would it be fair to pay them the same amount?
No, absolutely not. It doesn't make sense to reward someone for not doing their job.
Exactly.
And I think that analogy really gets to the heart of what Ramsey's trying to say.
It highlights that fact that, people who create wealth often do so by providing valuable services, working hard, and acting with integrity.
Those are qualities that we should be celebrating, not condemning.
Absolutely. And, Ramsey goes on to argue that in many cases, wealth comes to those who serve others well.
Okay.
He shares this story about an auto mechanic who built a really successful business by being incredibly honest, providing excellent service, and always putting his customers first.
It's like that classic saying, what you give comes back to you.
Right.
And in this case, what he was giving was trustworthiness, quality work, and this genuine desire to help people.
Yeah, and what he received in return was not only financial success, but also the satisfaction of knowing that he was making a positive impact.
Yeah.
on the lives of his customers.
And that brings us back to this idea of money as a magnifier, right?
Right.
If you're using your wealth to serve others, to make a positive impact on the world around you, that's what it's going to amplify.
Absolutely.
It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And that's something that I think we can all strive for regardless of our current financial situation. It's about aligning our financial goals with our values and using our resources, no matter how big or small, to make a difference.
Yeah, it all comes back to that idea that anyone can build wealth right.
Yeah.
It's not about luck or privilege.
It's about putting in the work, being disciplined, and really focusing on serving others.
This whole deep dive into Ramsey's insights has been so eye-opening. I think we often get caught up in this idea that becoming a millionaire is just this impossible feat. But he breaks it down into these really simple steps. It's about shifting our mindset, from that get-rich-quick thing to something that's a little bit more sustainable.
Yeah, it's about, delaying gratification.
Yeah.
Making those smart choices consistently and just building that solid foundation.
And what resonated most with me was his emphasis on personal growth and character development.
Yeah, it's not just about the technical stuff, You got to have the right habits, the right mindset, and the right values, because at the end of the day, money is just a tool.
A tool, yeah.
It's a magnifier of who we already are.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's worth reflecting on that idea. If money really does amplify our existing qualities, what are we doing today to become the kind of people we want to be tomorrow? What are the habits that we want to cultivate so that when we do achieve financial success, it serves us and the people around us in a positive way?
Yeah. That's a powerful question, and I think it's one we all need to be asking ourselves. Because, becoming a millionaire isn't just about the number in your bank account.
Right.
It's about becoming a better version of yourself.
A better you.
It's about using your resources to make a real difference in the world.
So, for all of you listening out there, I hope you take some time to reflect on what you've heard today. What are some small changes you can make to build a better future for yourself? And how can you use your own talents and resources to create a positive impact on the world?
And remember, building wealth is a journey, not a destination. And it's a journey that is open to anyone.
Who's willing to put in the work?
Embrace the process.
Absolutely. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to be the best version of yourselves.